What's up, you beautiful collectors? This is Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers The Last Knight Premier Edition Deluxe Class Decepticon Berserker. Now, for the package, you have that really cool new Last Knight package where it's in this box. Of course, you got the Transformers text with the Last Knight logo right down there. And then you got a really cool image of the Berserker around the side. You come around to this side and you can see just how awesome he does look. You got a lot of yellow and gold, kind of some red in there, very much like a Predator, to be totally honest with you. You can see that he's a raging destroyer. But one thing that's a little unfortunate is, as great as that coloring looks, the toy really doesn't have that. But again, same very cool kind of package with the open window that fully showcases the figure. On the back of the package, you got images of him in his robot as well as his vehicle mode that he transforms in 17 steps. And then also available in the first wave of deluxe figures, you have the deluxe class Bumblebee as well as Barricade. Of these new deluxe figures in the Premier Edition, the only new mold is Barricade. But he's still actually a fairly cool looking figure, I think. I just wish he had some of those more accurate paint details, but for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Deluxe Class Berserker opened up and out of its packaging. And as you can see, he's in a SUV mode. Now initially, and I believe I even said it, that I thought this was just a repaint of the Deluxe Class crankcase that we got from the Dark of the Moon line. That's really not the case with this. This is an entirely new mold, and I actually really do enjoy the figure. There are a few kind of nagging parts about him, but I think he looks pretty cool. As you can see, for his alt mode, he's in an all-black SUV. You got a nice Decepticon logo there. You got some kind of white paint up here for the headlights. Of course, you got the Chevy logo right there. You got little red bits added on here for kind of the police siren sort of look, and then you got a red paint for the taillights, and then obviously also you got the Chevy logo there. You can see the windows are just painted blue. You can't see through them or anything. I guess the aesthetically ugly part about it would be this giant gray bit that's kind of right there. It kind of breaks up the look of it in terms of the coloring, I really should say. That would be much better served if that was just black plastic. But all in all, decent looking alt mode. It is small though. Now using the Deluxe Class Barricade that I just took a look at, you can see vehicle mode wise he's considerably smaller, both in terms of length and width. And then, again, using another more modern figure, here he is with the Deluxe Class RID Blur, and again, much smaller than what we have been getting in terms of deluxe figures. Now, a lot of the times, the deluxe kind of moniker applies to how big the figure gets in the robot mode, and he is a good size, so that doesn't bother me too much. But, you know, he's got wheels, so he rolls like things like that do. You got a weapon storage here in the bottom. You got these weird kind of pegs and slots here at the bottom. You can kind of see that right there. You got this little almost handle looking thing that really does just mean that you put it in there on a weird kind of an angle, but they are staggered. So you got one that faces one way, one faces the other way. I might have actually put that in the wrong thing. I mean, I don't think that it matters, although they do seem to fit better in specific configurations. Like that one fits better there, and this one seems to fit better there. So I don't think it's something that is required, but it seems like it makes sense there. You can see you got some robot junk kind of hanging off here in the bottom. It doesn't really stand out too much, and then obviously when you have the weapons down there, you got the little spikes there, which are kind of cool looking actually. You can also take them and you can slot them in on the side. You got these little slots right here, so if you wanted to, I guess you could put them in there. I don't necessarily think they're meant to go in there because the slots aren't the same exact size. They're a little bit longer than the little panel thing here. So I don't necessarily think that they're meant to go there, but you can do it if you want it, and you can have those kind of jutting out from there, which again, as a Decepticon, that kind of makes sense that he would like go around and have those sticking out of the side. So setting that over there. To transform him though, this is probably the part that is the most blah on him. He is, I don't want to say a shell former, but a lot of this kind of is a shell. It does go different places, and it does work pretty good, but I would probably say the biggest problem is getting things lined up to tab in. There's a lot of tabbing. And one thing that I will say is that when you're pushing one thing to tab it in, it makes something else detach. So it is a little bit tricky to do. First, come around here to the back. We're going to separate these from the back section, and you can kind of lift that up and get that out of the way. Lift this, hinge that up like so, and then come around here to the side bits here, and these you want to pull out and rotate around to the side just like that. Do that on this side as well. You can then lift this out and rotate this around. These tab in on the back section, so make sure you detach that as well. So you can rotate that around just like so. Come around here, get these out of the way. This section here, you want to get that, let's see, away. Again, there we go. Pull that up and hinge. There we go. So lift that up, hinge that back. You can take this and you can collapse this down just like that. Kind of lift that up just like so. Rotate this bit up, and then you want to hinge him back like that so that you bring his basically the pelvis area straight like that. Kind of just bring these legs out, rotate here at the thigh, rotate that. Then you actually have to bend this. He does have a little bit of that chicken leg kind of thing, so you bring those back and then take this little bit, rotate that back. That's going to be his little heel spur, so do that on this side as well. Bend the knee back like so, fold that out just like that, and there you have his legs, and getting him to stand right there. It can be a little bit of a chore because you do have to balance the legs properly. Then coming up to the arms, you just take these, rotate these down, spin them around just like so. Take the little fist, oh well, you can take this and you can fold this back, but fold the fist out, then rotate that back. Do that on this side as well. Rotate that down. Position his arms around, and then this section here you kind of just fiddle with this and get this looking pretty good. You do have a couple little tabs on the back of him that lock into the little slots kind of here on the light bar, so just angle that around to where you kind of can see that tabbing into place. So bring that up and then just push that in, and that kind of locks right there. Bring this piece up like that, bring this up for his butt. You got these little tab bits. You just detach these from the back of his upper arm and then rotate these around. Do that on this side as well. Spin that around just like that. Angle that. Position that properly. And there you have Berserker in his actually really cool looking robot mode. Even though that the color is kind of lacking compared to what the package shows, I really think that this guy looks very cool. I mean, it's very menacing looking and evil, I guess. He does have some nice paint applications thrown on there. As you can see with his weapons, you can't have him hold them. They just kind of slot into his hands. One thing that I will say is that the hands are rubbery, so you can kind of squish them and such. Same thing with the little pokey bits up here. His head also has a softer rubber bit, very much like Crankcase, which is, you know, kind of why initially I thought that this was just mostly like a remold, but he's completely different, which is great. He does have that chicken leg thing kind of going there, but a lot of the Michael Bay figures have unique kind of the posturing, and this guy definitely does. But you can see some of those cool details here with like the paint on his forearm. You can see his fingers have some orange paint on there. You got like this X thing also on his chest. I don't exactly know what that's for. Obviously we haven't seen the movie or anything yet, but really I do like this guy. I'm very curious to know his involvement. If he is one of the dreads, if he's like the leader of them, and he's back and be like, hey, where's my buddies at? What'd you do to my buddies? You know, I mean, something like that. I don't know. But I mean, as you can see, a simple transformation, but he still looks cool. I mean, you got a bit of a backpack there. You got some kind of kibble here on the back of his legs, but all in all, solid looking, really solid. You do have to be a little bit creative with his feet in terms of getting the positioning down. Posability isn't all that great because of the way that the legs are. One thing that I will note is, again, my table is rounded, so it does have a little bit of a kind of rock to it, so that's not something that every figure is going to have, but definitely is going to stand out here in mine. But real great, and coming in again, taking a closer look at the head, That's a really wicked, evil, cool looking head sculpt. I like that a lot. Again, you can kind of see he's got like 2 eyes in there, so that's something that seems kind of recurring with some of these Decepticons, but good detail. Nice molding here for these little hair things. One thing that is actually kind of cool is there is some different coloring. I'm going to come in again. Kind of throughout the head, you can see different color plastics that do break up some of that just blandness. I mean, you can like see a darker color through the middle. You got a little bit lighter bit here through the main part of the head. And then you got a more kind of silver bit down here for the jaw. So that's really cool. And then again, you got that strange X right there. Good detail with the forearms and the fingers. You got a little bit of red paint and then black and gray down here for the legs. Overall, solid looking figure. I am really happy with him. He is tiny. Well, I shouldn't say tiny, but he is definitely smaller. Barricade here is a little bit smaller than he is. And obviously, he's kind of hunched. I mean, you could straighten out his legs, but in doing so, part of the problem is the little claw feet. So you can kind of put them down like that. It really doesn't help him stand very much. I mean, it's possible to get him, but that is really a very delicate sort of position right there. It's more designed to go all the way back. So, and you can see that this section right here is meant to kind of come up and fill in that area. So then you have to bend at the knee. So it is meant to be like that, but I do like that kind of aesthetic. It looks cool and definitely has a kind of evil sort of look. Now, setting him there and bringing in that Bumblebee again from the movie The Best Line, which is just a repaint of the Dark of the Moon version, you can see that they are a little bit smaller here. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but people have complained about it in terms of the smaller size figures. But again, bringing in Trigger Happy, you can see that deluxe figures are pretty small just kind of in general now. Now for Berserker's articulation, the head is on a separate hinge joint right here, so you can see that the head does kind of shift down like that. You kind of want to put it back when you're transforming it. You bring it down basically for robot mode, so you have a little bit of left and right. You can kind of see that he does look up and down some, and that's a separate ball joint that's away from the actual hinge. The shoulders here are on ball joints, so you can move that around very nicely. Part of the transformation, you can bring that up, but you got some kind of kibble right there that gets in the way. You have a hinge here at the elbow. The wrists, if you move that, they can move forward and back so he can shake your hand. I don't know why you would want to shake hands with a Decepticon, let alone one that has claws of death right there. He doesn't rotate at the waist, unfortunately. He does have a little bit of an ab crunch as part of the transformation. The hips are on ball joints, so you can move that in and out very nicely. There is a little bit of clearance issues. You can kind of move that back if you have the wheels right here that kind of bump into that. You can just hinge that out of the way so it doesn't really restrict too much motion. The upper part of the thigh does rotate. He does bend here at the knee, and then you got that lower leg joint as well. So the articulation is all there, but posability is going to be limited just because of the design of the feet. But you can still get some pretty cool looking, evil, sinister poses, I think, with them. And then I guess because these are on ball joints, you can articulate these little bits. So, I mean, you could get him hunched over, slouching around, kind of stalking you or something like that. I mean, I do. Oh, and I forgot to mention that he does swivel here at the bicep area. So, in general, really cool figure. Now, the transformation for him can be a little bit finicky. And I did see my buddy Chuck Dog. Chuck, great job on your review. I do have to agree that lining things up can be pretty problematic with the guy. So we're going to fold this out. We're going to rotate his hands down just like that. Come around here to the back. You have little tabs right here on the back where basically his tricep would be. Rotate these little horn bits down, and then you have to kind of rotate that to get it in a proper position to tab in. So kind of find that little spot and then rotate, kind of keep that straight. And there, is that it? Yeah, that's kind of in there right there. So do that on this as well. Kind of get that straight where you can rotate that around, locking that in just like so. Then take these arms, rotate them up. You can rotate them around and bring them up over his head just like that, and then angle the little side bits here down. So I'm just going to fold them at the elbow. Now, they don't tab together, and that's something that my boy Chuck Dog did talk about. I don't think it's really all that bad, to be honest with you, but what you can do is come around here to the legs, just straighten them out, and bring that all the way down. Take this little heel section, you can rotate that around like so, and then rotate him here at the thigh. Then hinge the, just get this whole thing, pull all this stuff away from the body. You can fold all this out just like that. Don't do anything with this top section just yet. So you're going to then straighten that out and then bring the legs around like so. Just flop them around. Now hinge that down, sorry, bring that all the way down like that. And then that's one part that he did have a problem with. This does detach, and it is a little bit of an annoyance, but just get that back in there just like that, kind of shoving that in there. So bring this around, and then you're going to bring this down like that. So rotate this around, and then you got a slot section right here with a little tab bit here. Line that up and lock that into place first, and then come around here to the back, and you got another tab section here on the foot that tabs along the inside bit right here. So line that up and do that just to get that kind of done. It makes it a little bit easier. Pull that away, rotate, find that little spot, rotate that, lock that in, lock that in. So now you basically have the pieces kind of locked in. So yeah, they don't tab down here in the middle, but bringing these down and tabbing them in there really does kind of help. Bring this piece down, but this is where things do get a little bit annoying, I guess. You can then bring this, collapse this, just right there for right now. When you do this, a lot of parts, you push everything together, and things will then pop out. So if you line this up, bring this up, kind of fiddle with this back section to tab that in like that, and do that on this side as well. You're basically, as you're going along, you're going to push one end in, lock that in, and it'll kind of pop the other side out. So you kind of have to hold everything together. Rotate this around. You can see like this kind of shifted a little, kind of get that up out of the way. Rotate then. Now you got the little section right here with a little tab that's going to lock in here. Again, the problem here is you have to make sure that you have this rotated enough to get it to fit inside that little tab section. So you're kind of like holding this in, then rotating until you get it to sort of slot in there. So it is tricky. That one was pretty easy to do. And then you just kind of squeeze everything. He talked about the transformation squeeze. So again, shout out to you, Chuck Dog, because that is true. This one is definitely one where you kind of have to squeeze everything into its position. Then bring this whole section down, and that's going to pop that out. Bring that down, and again, squeeze. And that as you squeeze that, you can see this whole thing just kind of detached on it. So it isn't a real great transformation, mostly because there's not a lot of stability throughout the middle of it, it seems. So as you're moving one end in, the other end pops out. So you're just constantly going around, pushing, squeezing. Eventually, with some patience and getting that up there, you will get him back. Let's see, get that in there. You will get him back into his vehicle mode. It's just not the most fluid and kind of secure transformations. But when you're done, there you have him back in his SUV mode. At the end of the day, I do like the figure. There are some issues with it, but I think vehicle mode wise, he does look pretty cool. The biggest thing that I would say kind of draws your eyes, I mean, yeah, he's got panel lines. I don't think that looks really all that bad. Not as bad as, say, Universe Ironhide, for example, but I think he looks pretty good with the exception of this little bit. I wish that was black. The rest of him looks pretty decent. He's also fairly small for a deluxe size vehicle, especially an SUV, but it's not egregiously terrible. Transformation to his robot mode is really just a matter of pulling everything apart. It already kind of wants to come apart anyhow, so it's much easier going to his robot mode. Transformation back, as you can see, can be a little bit finicky, but it's not hard to do. It's just a little frustrating at points. But I think the best on this guy is his robot mode. He looks absolutely terrific and evil. I do wish he had a little bit more of those colors like we saw in the package, but what it does have still looks pretty nice. So if the Berserker here is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, he will be hitting various retail locations fairly soon. Or as always, you can keep your eyes on Big Bad Toy Store. For that, all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of Transformers The Last Knight figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way towards helping me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, do me a real quick favor and click on that bell right below this video, and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And until next time, be excellent to each other.